Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. So I'm going to pop by again with another video, and guess what? I've started the video and not decided what stamps I'm going to use. Isn't that hilarious? So let's grab a few stamps. I'm good like that. I start the video and then I don't actually decide what I'm going to use. It's hilarious. Right. So we'll just grab a couple of things. No idea what I'm going to use. We'll just see how it goes. Not a problem. Right. So I've still got some 4x6" pieces of card. Well, we hope they're 4x6 because you know what, that happened last time. So I've got some 4x6" 6" pieces of card, Pink Frog smooth card, 300 GSM. So it's a nice sturdy card that I can work on. And what I thought I'd do is I'd start with my stencil Blobology. So I'm going to use this stencil because I thought it was quite nice, and I can sort of off centre it just so that it's here. I can bring it, shall I bring it a little bit lower down? Yes, let's bring it a little bit lower down. And let's be really good. And let's grab some low tack tape, just so that we can keep that in place. So let's add some to the stencil, just so that we can keep that in place and it won't move too much for us. So we'll just add a little bit of low tack tape. Now sometimes, as you well know, I don't add low tack tape, I just hold it in place. But I thought, you know, just for this once we'll be slightly professional and we'll just add some low tack tape. It's the weekend. I'm in a very calm, relaxing mood. Deadlines have been met. Deadlines have been met. I'm not chasing my tail and I'm all relaxed. The rain's just stopped. I need to get some bark and do some gardening, but I couldn't be bothered. Right, so yet again, I'm going to use the colours I had on my desk the other day. So let's put them in order. We've got mustard seed, spiced marmalade, picked raspberry, lumberjack plaid, and seedless preserves. So I'm just going to use what I've got there. So let's grab a piece of cut and dry foam, or your brushes or your blending tools. So that's for the yellow and orange. Let's find one for the pink. That's for the pink and the red. And that's for the purple. Perfect, that's all we need. So I'm going to take the mustard seed and sling it across the non-stick craft sheet, because that's what I always do. I always sling it across the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cut and dry foam. Doesn't matter whether it's a brush, a piece of cut and dry foam. I think the cut and dry foam has been discontinued now, so you can use a sponge, use a makeup sponge, whatever you've got to hand. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that whatever implement I use, that it's got a good layer of ink. And what that enables me to do is it enables me to blend the colour nice and easily just over the stencil without worrying about it dragging too much. Sometimes if we haven't got enough ink on the stencil, it drags a little bit too much. So let's just add the yellow. And then what I'm going to do is use the same piece of cut and dry foam, and I'm going to use the spiced marmalade. Let's take that spiced marmalade. So we'll just ink with some of the spiced marmalade. And you don't have to be regimented and add the orange everywhere. It's entirely up to you. And then you can go back to the yellow, the mustard seed, and just blend it out a little bit. Just take a little bit of time just to appreciate what colours you want to use. Just, you don't need to rush it. So let's add a little bit of pink. Now, if we add pink and we add it to the yellow, then it's going to make orange tones as well. So let's just add a little bit more of this colour of the pink, just so that it does appear pink. So let's just add a little bit down here in the whiter areas. The minute you go over the yellow, it's going to appear more orange. But that's why we like applying the colours quite randomly. There we go. And then I'm going to add a little bit of red. I'll just use the other end of the cut and dry foam, probably the wrong end, but there you go. So this is lumberjack plaid. So let's add a little bit of the lumberjack plaid. Just add that sort of randomly. Don't be too sort of strict on yourself, just add it randomly. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the seedless preserves. So the seedless preserves is your purplish colour, and just add a little bit of that purple as well. Again, add it to some of the white areas. You don't have to fill every circle either if you don't wish. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the mustard seed with whatever's left on the cut and dry foam, and I'm just going to blend out. Now, if I think that I haven't got enough of the yellow, you know, and maybe I've lost a little bit, what I'll do is I'll just tap some of that yellow just here and there, just to bring in a little bit more of that vibrancy. And then I'll blow all the little bits that I've got on there, because that's handy. So let's just have another piece of cut and dry foam here, and let's just give the stencil a light spritz with water, so 3 little spritzies, and it'll start to react with that moisture. And whilst that's reacting, I'll just grab a piece of kitchen roll, and I'll just wipe this area on the left hand side because we've got quite a bit of moisture on there. Just my non-stick craft sheet, not the card. And you can see I'm not rushing. I'm just allowing the inks just to do their thing. What I'll do is, because I've spritzed the stencil with water, I've got another piece of 4x6 inch card, and I'll just place that on top of the stencil, just to see if we can get a print from the ink that's on there. So now we've got another little background that we can use. It's just beautiful, so that works quite nicely. Now, yes, we're happy. So let's remove the stencil. And I never remember which piece of cut and dry foam I've actually put on first, but that's standard practice for Tracy. So I'm just going to remove my low tack tape. I don't tend to, I mean, you can use the low tack tape again, but when I've added oxides and I've added moisture, I don't tend to use it again, just so that I don't sort of contaminate the card. Let's lift that stencil. And then we've got a beautiful background. Let's lift that up for you, just so that you can see that. We've got a beautiful background there, really lovely. And I've still actually got ink on the stencil, so you could actually make another print if you wanted to. No problem at all. And I just got another piece of card. Have you noticed I always need just another piece of card? So I've got a slightly, well no, it's a wet baby wipe. And let's just clean that stencil just of any ink that's on there. Don't go and rub it so hard that you break down the card. So it'll just give me another background that I can add more colour and more zestiness to. But it means that I've cleaned my stencil without sort of wasting those inks. But you could just spritz it and create another background just like we did here, because that gives us another background then that we can use. Let's just move that out of the way. There we go. And then I think what I'll do is, let's grab the background stamp. I'm going to use my new November release. So I'm going to use the background stamp on this stamp here, 1066. As Diane said, the Battle of Hastings. Never even dawned on me. Right, so I'll never forget that stamp now, like Diane said. So I'm going to add a little bit of text. Now you're stamping onto oxide inks, so just be aware of that, because there's a layer there. Let's put these all in the right order. So there's a layer of ink that's just there. It's not sitting because we've sprayed, but because we've got that oxide ink, we may need to blot our black VersaFine Clair. Or do I want grey? Let's use our grey VersaFine Clair. So we're just going to add, I have definitely got grey, yes, Morning Mist. I always question myself every single time. So I'm just going to add some of the stamping. And I do love adding stamping over stenciling, because then you can't work out whether the stenciling came first or the stamping came first. And it's lovely, it's quite a nice effect. And I love the fact you don't have to press this stamp very hard. It just gives a lovely background effect. It's just wonderful, really nice. Let's just add, there we go. I love just enjoying myself creating the project. So this is Morning Mist VersaFine Clair, which is our grey. Let's take the grey. And if I lift that up, you can see that it's lovely, because you can't work out whether the stencil came first or the stamping came first. It's really nice. I really love that. No idea what to use. But that's me all over. Shall we just use part of the Hellebore? Mainly because I've got some pencils left out, so why not use them? So let's just use part of this Hellebore. Let me just grab a border stamp, a border acrylic block. Just place that on there. Now, if I take my acetate, so the Hellebore is stamp set 1063. These are all available on Create and Craft TV now. You can actually get them now. I'll add the link to my post, but Create and Craft TV, I've actually got a one-day special on Monday at 6 p.m. and then on Tuesday 10 till 2. No, not 10 till 2, 10 a.m. and then 2 p.m. And we've got ephemera and lots of other things to go with that. I've got lots of videos to inspire you already on YouTube using the release, but that's actually reduced now, and you can actually get that on Create and Craft TV. So what I can do is I can take the acetate and I'll just sling that across there. You see, that one would also look nice, just in the black. See, that'd look nice as well, that one would, in the black. But I'm going to use sort of, I don't want to play, oh crikey. Have I got a whole one cut out? I don't know whether I have actually. Oh, I have. So, if you look at this stamp, I've stamped this in black. So this is this image here, which you can't see, but this image here you still can't see. Grab a piece of white card, Tracy. So this image here, there you go. I've stamped that in black VersaFine Clear ink. Now I can use the acetate to play around with it like a jigsaw puzzle, but sometimes I always cut one out that I can just add. Let's lift this up. You can just add here. Let me show you this. If I add that, it does cover a lot of the background up. If I add it onto this one, like so, it's totally different because it's on the opposite side. So let's just, I mean, we can use that one now, but what I want to show you is, on this one, the whole one works. But on this one, I want a smaller portion of the flower. You could even use the Nemesia. This is a piece of copier paper, it's not the plant, but you could actually use the Nemesia as well. So it's entirely up to you which flower you use. I haven't got my scissors, which is standard practice. So let's take the Hellebore. And what I'm going to do is just cut the Hellebore up a little bit. It's a beautiful floral to colour. Let's just cut this out. I'll just make a cut. There we go. Now you see, you can just use part of the floral if you want. You don't have to have it as it is. You can create with just part of the floral, and then you can lay this on top if you want, cut separately. There's just different ways you can use it, or you can use it as a whole. But what I want to do, we don't need that stem there. There we go. What I want to do is just add this floral on its own. Well, it's not doing much there because it needs some colour. So let's place this on here. I'm going to colour this in some purples that I've had out for quite a while now. So I've got red violet, I've got thistle, and I've got dusky purple in Inktense pencils. I have got 0730, thistle 0720, and red violet 0610. And these are my Inktense pencils. So let's just bring in the floral again, just so you can see, white card, just so you can see what I've cut out. So you've got that there, and this is the bit that I've cut out. So just using that bit there. So many different florals you can use. Let me show you the other Hellebore. So this Hellebore, let me show you. So this Hellebore here, I've got cut out. I always have little bits cut out, but I don't want to plonk that over there because, I mean, yes, you can, but I like the circular bit as well. So you could place it here. So it's entirely up to you which of the florals you use, but they give you lots of colouring opportunities. So I'm going to start with the dusky purple 0730, and I'm just going to start with that colour just towards the edge here. And I'm using a circular motion just to add that dark colour. And I love the Inktense pencils. They're so easy to use, not complicated at all. Got some lovely colours, and it makes you look good even when you don't have to do much. So I'm then going to add the thistle, and I'm just scribbling those colours on there. Now if you like sort of a more pared back look, you can just add one layer of the colour. Let's just add the thistle. There we go. And then I'm going to use the red violet, the 0610, and just scribble a little bit of that colour on as well. And I'm just holding my fingers higher up on the pencil, not doing like, you know, when you were used to write at school. I can't remember the last time I wrote a letter or anything, but I'd have my fingers down here. I'm holding the pencil further up just so that I don't break down the card too quickly by scratching the colour on too hard and breaking down the card too quickly. Oh, sorry, I've just moved the camera because I didn't look where my water bottle was going and I just bashed it. So I'm just going to take a little spritz of water. Let me just make sure that that is clean. So we'll just clean the brush a little bit. Right, there we go. And then I'm just going to take my kitchen roll and just take off the excess moisture. I've always got a piece of kitchen roll. And what I love about Inktense pencils, I can just touch that colour just slightly and it comes to life and it smooths out. And it's such a satisfying thing to do. Let me just hold that up. So you can see my scribbles here, but it smooths out as soon as you add a touch of the water. And I always like to work with less water. If I flood everything, it just swims everywhere and I don't end up with any definition or it just all washed out. So I don't want that. So I sort of go in with a touch of water and not too much water at all. And I'm pushing that darker colour right to the darkest edge. There we go. And then bring out the lightest of the colour. And the Inktense pencils, really good pigmented pencils. You can use them on fabric and lots of other surfaces as well. Now, if you like a nice sort of smooth look, but a little bit more pared back, not too much, that works really nicely. Now, I want to add a little bit more colour, so I'm dipping my brush into water. Now, it is important that you take that excess water off, because really you don't want to be going into your pencils with too much water, because the water will go up to here and ruin your pencil. So just add a little touch of that pigment from the end of the pencil, just so that the brush has got that pigment on there, really pigmented. And now I can add, let me show you how much more pigmented. Can you see that? There we go. So you're picking up that neat pigment. You're just picking up the neat pigment. And then you're taking off the excess. And then you'll just blend those harsh lines out. And I'm just using whatever water I've got on my brush. So I can pick up that rich pigment again. Pick up the rich pigment just so it's a little bit richer in colour. Take off the excess. And once you're sort of happy with the colour, you can add a little bit more water, take off the excess on your kitchen roll and make sure you blend out. So I'll take a little bit more of that pigment just to make it a little bit richer in colour. Take off the excess and just blend that out. So pick up that richer pigment like so, and then just blend that out. Take off the excess. Remember, you're almost working with a dry brush. You are not drowning the nib of that pencil with water. You will ruin your pencils. So just, and it's just a little, I'll just chuck it again. It's just a little bit richer and darker. And you can see I've not flooded it with water because it's not broke down and soaked through onto the back of the card. So just working that a little bit more, just so it's a little bit smoother. Just beautiful. I do love the Inktense pencils. They're just so easy to use and they make you look good, and you get that blend that you see on everybody's work. It's just lovely. I've got a gold pen here that's neither use nor ornament. I want a white one. Now what I'm going to try and do is add white to this, which is not really a good idea. You need to let it dry first. I also love to let the card rest a little bit, because then if you're not happy with your colouring, you can go in and add a little bit more. So I'm just going to take some black cotton just to diffuse my background a little bit more. So I'm just going to sort of messy that up a little bit so it doesn't look too perfect. And normally you would let this rest. I'm looking for white card, and I'm going to be honest, I was looking for white card so I didn't have to bend. Ha ha, what a joke. Right, let me just cut a strip of card, bear with me. So that is 4 inches, 5 by 7. So let's do that one. So let me just pick this up. So I was just grabbing down there just to grab a piece of card. And you're going to laugh because I picked up a piece of black card and no white. You can't make it up at all, can you? So I'm just going to test my gel pen. Now really, if I let that sort of rest for 10 minutes, you get far sort of better results, because you've got that wet ink on there and you're trying to work with your gel pen, and you really should let it dry. If you haven't got any patience, then dry it with your heat tool. But if you just add little touches, even if it's little touches of white, it really sort of makes everything pop. So let's just add the bit, and it's easy to add some shape because the card's got some moisture in it, so it's wonderful to add a little bit. So I'm just going to add my little black piece. Let me just, this is 5 inches in length, because it'll match my card blank, but I've no idea what the width is because I just cut it. It was there on the floor because that's what I do. Just so, I love faffing. I adore faffing. It's just the best hobby ever. And I know that I hadn't planned on doing this. I'd planned on doing something else because I hadn't got my pin flare glue out, and it's gone in a totally different direction, which happens every single time I create. So let's just take a little bit of adhesive on the stem. Leave sort of one of those leaves a little bit loose, because then it just, I don't know, it just looks a bit more free and not so regimented. Let's see if there's any pin flare glue in here. Oh yes, enough for that floral. There we go. Let's just clear the end of that up. There we go. So I can just, of course, I need to add this. This is when I get all excited because I'm doing everything before I should. Now, do I want that on the top, or do I want that? I'm going to put it underneath, which is about standard for Tracy. So I'm going to take my pin flare glue again, and let's add a little bit, and I mean a little bit because there's hardly left anything in my pin flare. So I'm just adding a little bit of pin flare. Let me just add that here, like so. And then I'm just going to take this, or try to, and place this just down there, like that. Let's just pick this up and let's add this just to a black mat. So I'm going to add this to a black mat that is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 because the pieces I'm working on are 4 by 6. So let's just add this. It was probably, because I didn't know where I was going, probably a good idea. Oh, do you know, you can't make it up now. This is adhesive. Probably a good idea to adhere the 4 by 6 inch piece before you adhere the strip. But I've now got an adhesive that is slightly blocked. No idea why, because the lid was put on. Let's pick that up now again. That's better. So just place this onto a black mat that's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. There we go. Because we'll add this to a card that is 5 by 7. Just going to lift that up. There we go. That's lovely. That's really nice. That's it. Trying to put the wrong lid on here. Let's get rid of this bit of pin flare. Can't be doing with messing with that. So I can just, you see, you don't have to have too much, do you? I need it, my wording, but you don't have to have too much. Let's add this to our 5 by 7 card because then it really comes to life. And I'm just moving this every time, but we'll put that straight afterwards. So let's add this just to that 5 by 7 inch card blank. Like so. Just add that there. That's it. And now we can just make sure that is straight. There we go, just so you can see. We've not finished our card yet. We're still just playing. Just love having a play. I'm just checking because I've got bits of Hellebore cut out at different stages. So let me show you. You see this flower head here? I've even got that cut out like so. And I'm thinking if I put that Hellebore there, so let's colour that. I always lose myself. So let's colour in the same way. Let's get them in the right order. I like to put my pencils in order that I'm using them. So we'll colour in the same way again, like dusky purple. So we'll just add that. Again, holding my pencil quite high up. And I love it because when you scribble, it just looks horrendous. You're like, what a mess. But I'm just adding that little bit of scribble. So there's the dusky purple. And then we're going to add the thistle. So just add the thistle. And just, again, holding that pencil quite high up. But when you first add the colours and you just scribble them on, it doesn't look like they're going to look like anything. So when you just scribble it on, it really doesn't look like anything. It's not until you add that touch of water, you just think, yes, I love them. So a little bit of water. And it's such a little bit of water, you can't actually see it. take off the excess and then come into your colour, and it just comes to life, smooths out. And if you sharpen your pencils, don't forget to place the sharpenings onto a piece of card and spritz with water, and then you can make another background. So it smooths out just so beautifully before your eyes. It's just lovely. It's like magic. The way it smooths out that quality pigment with a little tiny touch of water. But less is more with the water. So don't drown your piece. So I'm just going to add a little bit more darkness to this one with the dusky purple. Just be careful, don't add too much water. I'm just going to add a little bit more pigment. I'm not adding more water. I'm adding the brush without more water because I don't want to affect that pencil. So I'm just picking up the rich pigment just so it's a little bit darker just at the edges, just to give it a little bit more darkness. Keep it in this shot, Tracy. So just add a little bit more darkness. I'm then going to just add a bit more water, take off the excess, and then pick up the lightest colour, which is red violet. I'm just going to make that a little bit brighter. And just blend that out. And if I need a little bit more water, I don't think there's any there. I like our search for the water on my non-stick craft sheet because I can't see it. Take off the excess and just blend out the line. So pick up a little bit more of that pigment. Just make it a little bit more vibrant. And just blend that out. A little bit more vibrancy. And just blend it out. Such wonderful pencils. And to be honest, if you let it rest, you'd be able to go in and even add another layer. They're just fantastic. They really are brilliant. There we go. I'll just take my gel pen again. I'm just going to add some of those gel pen bits, just dotting, just add a little bit of gel pen. And you can always go back and add more gel pen once everything is dried thoroughly. So let's, again, I've not drowned the card. Let's just bend that a little bit. We'll just add our hellebore. I've got a new pin flare. And I say it every time I open the pin flare, why don't I take the silver off before I even start the workshop? So let's, is it coming out? Oh yeah, it's always a bit stiff when you do the first blob. There we go. Now the hellebores, when you look at them in your garden, they're sort of always facing down. You get all these leaves and they face down, and sometimes when you're taking a photograph you have to lift them up so you can see underneath. So let's now, we don't need that hellebore stamp. Let's take the hellebore, and it's actually got the word Hellebore on there. So we'll take that word Hellebore. There we go. We'll add this to some white card. This white card just might be enough. Let's move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So we just add the hellebore, and with these sentiments, try not to squish them and press too hard. You really want to sort of just hold it on there, let the ink grab hold, and that's fine, and then you can't pick it up. So let's just take the hellebore, and I don't need to add any black because I've got that black banner across. There we go. So I don't really need to add that. And this release allows you to do your floral arrangements and just create lovely compositions. That's what you've got so far. Doesn't it look lovely? So I'm going to take my Posca pen. Let's move the scissors out of the way, mainly because I just drowned the scissors. You see, now I can use that another time for another background. Just works lovely. You see, you could even, let's pick this up. I could use this hellebore and just add some colour to that with that hellebore. Just maybe in some deep plummy colours. There's even a yellow hellebore that you can get. You could even add that in yellows. So I shall do that another time. So let's spritz this with, I nearly said let's spritz this water. Let's flick some Posca pen. Let's just add some Posca pen, and let's add some to our black mat. Don't move that, Tracy. That's it. And just dry that. Now, you can leave it just like that. No problem at all. It works beautifully. It's absolutely fine. But of course, I'm not going to quite leave it like that. So what I'm going to do is I've got, do you remember this piece that I cut that sort of needs moving up there? That's it. This was the bit cut off the end. So what I'm going to do is just cut a strip so that it's thinner. And what I'm going to do is add that just to give me a little bit more balance. I'm going to add that just here. I'll just take ages, just so I've got the balance with this and there, just so I've got a little bit of balance. I will splatter a little bit of white paint on there as well. Now, because I'm just addicted to doing it at the moment, I'm going to stamp these, which is stamp set 1066. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use the little florals. And I'm going to take some white card. I'm going to stamp those in black ink. Like so. So I'll just add the black ink. So I've added Nocturne VersaFine Clair ink, and even though it's, you know, it's not a super detailed stamp, you need to let the ink rest on there. Now if you wanted to add just a little sentiment across here, a little touch, it, little tiny splat of colour, and you could just say thank you, or just thinking of you, or just a note. So I'm just going to cut that card down. Let's have that on there, and then we'll just cut out a little bit, and I need to keep this in camera as one of my lovely followers informed me. So just keep, I'm just cutting this out, and I'm just leaving a white border. Now these don't have to be perfect, it's just a suggestion of those little twiddly bits. So I'm just leaving a narrow border. Sometimes when I'm cutting out, you'll have to bear with me, because what I do is I want to bring it near to my body, mainly because it's actually easier to cut out when it's near your body. When I'm trying to cut out and keep it in camera and hold it further away from my body, you're actually making, well, I'm actually making it more difficult for myself. So that's why sometimes I may push it towards my body when I'm cutting out, and I'll go off camera. And it's just because, as you can see, I find it harder not having it closer to me, just so that I can hold the card better. And that's why sometimes I may go off the camera a little bit. I'm trying to just keep that in camera though. So I've got one little twiddly bit there. Let's have this twiddly bit. And we'll just cut that out. Like so. I love cutting these out, and they've got that little white border. And just cut those out. Just cut that one like that. Can't pick it up at all. And then we'll have another. I don't need many of these, so I only need to stamp it once. And what I'm going to do is bringing the black just into the background a little bit. You know, because we've got that black banner, we've got the black stamping, just to bring it in to our composition just here a little bit. So just add that, and then these ones. Look, I'm trying to be a good girl now and keep this in camera. I nearly did it then. I nearly brought it towards me because it's my natural instinct to just bring, and I nearly did it again. It's just natural instinct to bring it closer to your body. Also, when I'm holding it away from you, it's quite a distance away from my body. So actually looking at seeing what I'm cutting out is actually harder, because I can hardly see what I'm cutting out. There you go. So I've just got those lovely sort of twiddly bits. And then let's just add little touches. Oh, let me lift this up now. Little touches of white, just so you can see, because it'll just make everything pop a little bit more. So just adding a little dot of white just to make it pop a little bit more. And then I'll just use my Tonic Deluxe glue and just add a little bit of adhesive just at the bottom, not on the florals. And what I want to do, even though I've got the black cotton, is just have a little bit, let's grab those scissors, a little bit of the black just here, just so that it's got, I'll bring it closer to so that you can see. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive just to the stem and not the floral. And if I just do the stem, I can have these little twiddly bits sticking up. So let's take this again, just this stem. When you've got nails, it's nice and easy. Not. Just bend that up. So as you press that down, sort of bend the flower. Then a little bit on this twiddly bit. Bend that up a bit. There you go. And that's all I need is a few little twiddly bits. But what I do need to do is I just need to grab the Posca pen. I need to add some splatters that just hit a couple of those, and a couple of splatters just on there. It just makes it look like it's more part of the project. Let's just clean my hands before we pick anything up. Let's pick this card up now that we've finished. And that is your little card finished. I just love that. Absolutely love it. I'm having such fun creating with this. Let's make that straight. Just adore that. And you've got that dimension just on there. Absolutely love that. So I hope you enjoyed that little demo. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.